Today we are starting a very important journey that changed the direction of world history, the acceptance of Islam by the Turks. This change was not as easy as it may seem. The Turks already believed in one God and were not strangers to the of Ibrahim. Some sources even say that Dul Khan mentioned in the Quran was actually infamous Turkish leader Aguz Khagan. Still, there were about 60 years of hard wars between the Turks and the Arabs. Then came a turning point in history, the Battle of Talas, when the Turks supported the Abbasids in their war against China. Everything changed after this event. The Turks got to know Islam better and over time became its strongest defenders. As the Abbasids became weaker, the Turks took a leading role in the Islamic world, and later during the Ottoman period they even took the Caliphate. Maybe you are hearing this powerful story for the first time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss videos like this. Islam began to be preached by the messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad, starting from the 7th century CE. In 622, when the Prophet arrived in Medina, the foundations of the Islamic State were laid. During his lifetime, Islam spread to almost the entire Arabian Peninsula. After the Prophet passed away, Abu Bakr Beckham, the political leader of the state, he first suppressed the rebellions of Arab tribes who left Islam. Then, through preaching and conquests, he began spreading the religion beyond Arabia. Under Umar's rule, the spread of Islam and the Islamic State gained even more speed by Allah's will. The famous battles of Qadisah and Nihon were won during his time. These victories ended the centuries-old Sassanid Empire. This opened new paths for the Islamic State. Now, Iran and Khorasan became the next goals. The first contact between the Turks and Muslim Arabs began after the Battle of Nihawand in 652 CE during the rule of Umar. At that time, Arab conquest started moving toward Turkestan. Even during the civil war between Muawiyah and Ali, governors under Ali continued campaigns into Turkish lands, but after Ali, the internal conflict led to theories of the Umayyad dynasty. With their rule, the structure of the Islamic State changed completely. The goal of spreading Islam became less important. Instead, the focus shifted to full political control and setting up systems for economic gain. The Umayyad state became one of the strongest powers of its time, but at the same time it had to deal with rebellions and opposition across the land. Their harsh response to revolts and internal critics, including the Khawarij, made the state very authoritarian and strict. During this period, Muawiyah gave Abdullah bin Amir, the former governor of Basra, task of reclaiming lost lands. Abdullah successfully recaptured areas in Iran and Khorasan. However, Muawiyah moved him from his post, claiming he was too soft against rebels. In 674, Noli Ubadullah, known for his harsh rule, was made governor of Khorasan. He became the first Arab commander to cross the Aegean Oxus River and enter Turkish lands. At that time, Turks and other Asian peoples lived in the region. Othmarawanthi believed in different religions, mainly the sky god Gandri. Also, many noble Sassanid families fleeing from Arab armies had migrated to this region. In the same year, Ubadullah crossed the river and captured Bent and several other Turkish cities. He then launched a quick raid on Bukhara. He was the first to lead an army deep into Turkish land, and is also known as one of those responsible for the killing of Hussein Karbala in 677 Turkish princes who refused to submit rose up in rebellion. The new Umayyad governor Sa'id attacked and recaptured Abara. In the early 600s and 80s, the Umayyads were dealing with internal troubles. During this time, local Turkish rulers tried to unite and take back their lands, but they were not successful. The local Turkish rulers tried to fight back by capturing Tmi, but they couldn't go further. During this period, the cities were constantly changing hands. The Umayyads could not fully advance, and that Turkish leaders could not push them out completely. This deadlock caused the Umayyads to change governors frequently. Caliph Abdul Malik tried to solve internal problems and start a new campaign, but he did not get the results he wanted. Between the years 76 and 715, the Umayyads launched major attacks in Turkish regions and started brutal wars against non-Muslim Turks. They killed many and looted cities. For example, in 706, when they captured Ben, the commander ordered all Turkish warriors to be killed and the city to be plundered. This caused great shock into the region. Similarly, in 712, when they reached Tulakan, everyone who fought against them was killed. The roads for Ferrex, about 20 kilometers, were lined with people hanged on both sides. Despite the bloodshed, neither side could gain full control. Mar had turned into a war zone. There was nothing but battle in the minds of the people. The siege of Samarkand. It was a fierce and exhausting struggle. Support forces from Fargana and Zoji tried to push the Arab army away from the city walls, but failed. The battlefield looked like a living hell. It was one of the most intense wars the region had seen. In 713, the Umayyads managed to capture Samarkand, the largest Turkish city. In 714, they launched a campaign and captured several more cities. Around this time, the death of Hajj was announced, but Caliph Wahid ordered the military campaigns Takuntunu. In 716, Yazid bin Mahalib was appointed governor of Khorasan. Yazid hated the Turks and looked for every chance to take revenge on them. That year, the Turkish center Injan was surrounded. The Turks resisted without help for 7 months, but in the end, they had to surrender. The city was looted, many were hanged, and all the men were gathered in a valley and killed. Their blood flowed into the rivers and streams. Turks were not becoming Muslim by force. In fact, this went against the Sunnah of the Prophet. At that time, the Turks were slowly accepting Islam through the visits and teachings of Islamic scholars. Even despite the Umayyads from the beginning, the Umayyad policy did not help people love Islam. Instead, it made them hate it. They followed Arab nationalism and practiced tribalism. They treated non-Arab Muslims unfairly. Some Khazar and Mawarana became Muslim during the Umayyad period, later left Islam because of the bad treatment they received. As we said before, the Umayyads only wanted control and income from these lands. They saw Turks as second-class people and did not care if they accepted Islam or not. Only a small number of Turks became Muslim in thought. These were usually people who learned about the religion from Muslims, living in Bara or Samarkand, or poor villagers who were suffering under local rulers. If a Turk became Muslim, they faced problems from both sides. The Umayyad government was unhappy because Muslims paid less tax. Their own local Turkish communities also reacted negatively. A few Turks who did accept Islam strongly opposed the Umayyad government. Of course, Turks were not only in this region. This video talks mainly about Khorasan and Mawaranathi, first contact points between Turks and Islam, but most Turkish people at that time were still deep in Asia and the northern steppes. Many of them had not even heard of Islam. Yet during this period of war between Turks and Arabs, something changed. In the year 717. Umar bin Abdulaziz became caliph. He ordered an end to the raids in Atiksan, the Khorasan border. He said Turks must not be harmed, that all humans are equal, Allah, and everyone should be treated fairly. The caliph also declared that Arabs were not better than other people, and that Muslims should not pay the jizya tax. Umar said he believed in the sincerity of the Turks who became Muslim, and he decided to send scholars to teach Islam in the region. Umatumandas were against this. They said Turks only understand the sword and the whip. They didn't believe the Turkish converts and asked to check if the men were circumcised. When Caliph Omar heard this, he became angry and said Allah did not send Muhammad as a circumciser, but as a messenger. Umar bin Abdulaziz was very different from other Umayyad rulers, but his time as caliph was short. After his death, things went back to the old ways. New players entered the scene. The year 717 brought more changes. This year, Thetakesh joined the war between the Arabs and the Turks. The Turish lived near the Zanjakatas river. In the 690s, after the Western Geotex became weak, undesolated Turkish tribes came together again under the Turish Union. By the end of the century, they had spread from Tafan to the Sihon River. Meanwhile, in the north, the Eastern Gokturks rebelled against the Tang dynasty in China and established the Second Gokturk Khaganate with Kapan Kagan. The Gokturks entered a strong period and moved west. As a result, Turish made an alliance with China in the wars between the Geturks and Thetakesh. The great Turkish vizier Tanuk defeated the Turish at the Battle of Belu in 698 and set the western border when the Turkish Kagan didn't want to join the Gokturk rule and made an with China. The Gorkhas launched another campaign in 711. They defeated the Turkish again at Balu and took control in 710. The Gokturks, one of the greatest Turkish states, fell into trouble. The central authority collapsed. China became stronger, and the Turkish declared independence, joining force with other Turkish tribes. But they couldn't expand eastward because China would not allow it. So they turned westward, the area beyond the Sihon, where Umayyad forces were the governor of Khorasan treated The local people who supported the Turkish very harshly. Many civilians were forced to leave their lands. Setu chased them, caught Samin, Kuand, and killed all the captured soldiers and civilians, except the merchants. These events in 722 increased hatred toward the Arabs. The Umayyads wanted to take Fergana to reach Diperinto, Turkestan. An army led by Governor Muslim crossed the river, but they were met by Sulu Kagan in the battle. Khalid